All right, in this video, we're going to go over how to set up and run Google Local Service ads for your HVAC or home service business. So the first thing that we're going to do, there's kind of a couple prerequisites that we need for a Google Local Service ad account, right? So the one thing that we need is a verified Google My Business profile, right? So if you don't have a Google My Business profile, we need that set up. Not only do we need a Google My Business profile that is set up and needs to be verified, right? So it needs to have a blue check mark. You've set up the Google My Business profile, verified it, where you've taken a video of your business and sent it to Google and they verified that you're a real business. The third thing that is a prerequisite that we need before setting up Google Local Services ads is we need to have at least, I think it's around at least 5 Google reviews, 5-star reviews, right? So Google requires us that we have some reviews on there before they give us the Google Guaranteed badge and allows us to run Google Local Service ads. So the first thing I want to get started is, what is Google Local Service ads and why do we want to run Google Local Service ads for our business, right? So depending on the type of local business that you are, most of the business that we work with are HVAC and home service businesses. Not all types of leads are available through Google Local Service, right? So Google Local Service is available for HVAC companies. They'll send us repair leads, install leads, tune-ups. Realtors are available to get leads from this, and a multitude of other businesses, right? So when we apply for Google Local Service ads, what they're looking for is, are we the type of business that they can actually send us leads for, right? And number 2, are we a business that is in an area with Google Local Service ads, right? So one thing that we do is we're going to go to Google Local Service ads, and first thing we're going to do is we're going to sign in, right? So what we want to do is we want to use the same email for Google Local Service ads as the same email as the one we're using for our Google My Business profile, right? Now, what we're going to go look at is the requirements that is needed, right? So the business verification part, right? So there's a couple of things that Google wants to get from us to see that we're a legitimate business, right? So you can see right here that we have been running Google Local Service ads for my client here for quite a while, but sometimes when you make changes to your Google My Business profile, they make us re-verify, right? And then if you don't verify by a certain date, Google Local Service is going to say, hey, you need to, in order to keep your badge or your Google Guaranteed badge, you need to verify, right? So one thing I strongly recommend is, after you verify your Google My Business profile, try not to change it. Try to make sure that all the information is on there and is correct the first time, so that you don't have to end up like this and have to verify again, and then, continue verifying through Google Service as well. So here are the requirements that we need to earn our Google Guaranteed badge, right? So we need to verify our billing info. So what it requires is, essentially we need to put a credit card on file, and that billing info needs to have the billing info from that credit card, right? Second thing is proof of insurance. So what you need to do, depending on your business, for an HVAC business, you need a minimum insurance amount of $250,000, right? So we need to upload a certificate of our insurance as a PDF and send over that to Google, right? And it usually verifies within 1 to 3 days. The next thing that Google Local Service ads requires is a background check. Not only just one singular background check, but a background check for multiple employees, right? So immediately when you sign up for Google Local Service ads, they're going to ask you how many employees are in your business, right? Because they also want the liability insurance to cover the amount of employees that you have in your business, right? So if you indicate that you have 5 employees, I think it's best, for your profile to successfully be verified, to indicate that you have 5 employees when you're doing the background check. So what Google is going to do is it's going to send you're going to give Google all the emails of all the employees, the business owner, all the employees, and Google is going to send a background check to each of the employees and the business owner, and then everyone associated with the company has to finish that background check and have them be verified before Google allows you to run Google local service ads, right? The next thing is we need to have customer reviews, right? So here you need at least 5 reviews on your Google My Business profile in order to run Google local service ads, right? So 5 reviews, it's not too much, right? The more reviews that you have, the more advantage you're going to have over your competitors in getting your Google local service ads shown, right? The more reviews, higher chance of you showing up, right? The second thing is we need to allocate a budget, right? So our budget right now is like $735 per week. Google is going to give you kind of an expectation of how much they think you should spend in your area, right? Depending on where you are in the United States, as long as you qualify for Google service ads, leads are available, then they'll tell you, hey, 5 leads will cost, X amount, right? Usually I've seen a range for Google local service ads leads range from as low as $24 to as much as $75, right? It ultimately just depends on where you are in the United States and what that market looks like, right? So from here you can set your weekly budget, and then they'll say, hey, for example, for $735 per week, you can expect 14 leads, right? And they'll be sending us 14 leads through calls, through messages throughout the week, right? The next thing that we're going to do is a business license. Now, again, like I said, depending on your business, the requirements are going to be different. But if you're an HVAC business, what they're going to require is that they want to make sure you're actually a licensed contractor. So what they require us to do is we need to send over our HVAC license information, and they're going to verify that to make sure that we're a legitimate business, right? So this entire process, it takes, I would say, 7 to 10 business days, right? It's really going to depend on your business, how fast you can get all the information needed, right? How fast you can get all the insurance in, and how fast everyone finishes their background check, right? Google's pretty prompt in getting everything in. Just have all the information ready. Now, the next part is after you have everything ready to go. I forgot one important thing is the one thing that really slowed us down in getting Google local service ads set up is one thing that we were coming back to this portal to check the progress of our Google local service ads. And the one thing that we just couldn't get right was Google, it wouldn't link our Google My Business profile, because the name of our business on Google My Business on Google Maps was actually different than the business name that we put in Google local service ads. So because those business names were different, it wouldn't link. So we had everything done, and Google still wouldn't verify us and allow us to run Google local service ads. So the only thing that you can do then is you have to call up Google local service ads. You need to get on the phone with a representative, explain your situation, and that representative will link that will manually link your profile to your ad, and then you can start running the ads. So what we had to do was, because the names were different, we had to manually get everything set up through one of the Google representatives. And now, since we made a change, we're changing the business name on our Google My Business. Now we need to verify again. So just make sure all the information is correct on the get-go, and then you won't have to go through all these hoops, right? So the next thing is, after you have all these things set up, right, what are the requirements, right? How do we actually get everything set up? So here, we're going to look at our profile and our budget. So essentially, right, first we got to make sure your ad is on, right? Do you want to be receiving texts and messages? Do you want to be receiving leads all the time, right? For us, we want customers to come in all the time. So I put our ad schedule all day. Our ad is showing all day, right? If you don't want calls and texts to come in after business hours, change the ad schedule. What we have here is, the basic information from our company, our website, our the phone number, and this is actually the phone number that the leads are going to call through, and also information about our company. Right here, you can change your weekly budget, right, to however much you want it to be. It's funny because they'll give you recommendations. So you can choose the exact amount you want, but they're going to give you recommendations, right? The next thing is the job types, right? So these are the types of leads and types of services that Google is going to allow leads to come from. So leads will come from really anything. For us, we turn everything on because for us, we don't know if a duct cleaning might turn into a whole duct replacement, right? So we will take whatever we can get and use our sales skills to upsell from there, right? So we turned on really everything that's available for HVAC pros, really all 15 services, and we get leads from all those, right? In Google Local Service Ads, you can't tell them, hey, I only want install leads, right? You could do that from here. This is the only way for you to control the type of services that you're advertising for. But from our experiences, the customers that'll come in for a repair, right? We go there to replace their furnace or do a repair or do a tune-up. Those are the best opportunities to upsell and get a system sold, right? That's what usually happens. There's lots of repair calls that come in from Google Local Service Ads turned into full system replacements. So the next thing that we need to optimize for is put as much information as you can onto your profile, right? Add photos, right? Here you can choose. So Google Local Service Ads come in from a variety of ways. Customers can either call you or they can text you guys, right? You can't control, you can disable one or the other. For us, we allow both. Some customers don't want to call, they want a text message. I would say 75% of our leads come in through calls, 25% come through text messages. And obviously the customers who call, they have a more dire need of what they want done. So I would turn on both. If you have a preference, right, change it, right? So here you're going to get messages about the leads through your email, through text message, through the phone number, and then you'd update your business hours here to let the customers know. And then here is your service area. So here is where you can indicate, where you want your business to, where you want your ads to show. For us, we want to show in a multitude of areas. And so here you can add all the service areas that you want your ads to show, and the leads that'll be calling in will come from these areas. We've really haven't had any leads that have come outside the service area, so Google actually does a really great job in making sure that the leads that come in are actually from the area that we tell them. So here is where you can really optimize everything about the types of leads that come in, your budget, and the information about your company, right? So a couple things to keep in mind about how Google Local Service Ads work is you are only paying for the leads that they send you, right? You have an opportunity to rate the quality of the lead, and the algorithm from Google is going to see if that was a viable lead or not for you, right? What I mean by that is, there isn't like an ad spend. We're not paying for clicks or likes, right? We're only paying for leads that are messaging us or calling us, right? And in certain situations where sometimes we get a call from a customer who wants to work at our company, that's not a legitimate lead, right? So Google actually, the algorithm does a great job, and they actually don't charge us for that lead. So we're actually only getting charged for leads that are legitimate, right? And of course, you can rate the quality of the leads, and book them. And so let me kind of take you guys through what that looks like. So here I'm going to go to the tab for leads. And this is where you can see all the leads that are coming in, right, that are coming for the business. And what happens is when you first, the speed at which when you start your Google Local Service Ads and the speed at which you're going to get leads. For us, we got our first leads within 48 hours. Within 2 days of starting up our ads, we got leads, right? And we didn't have, incredibly too many reviews. We had like around 12 reviews, but, we're getting a good amount of leads from the service area that we're in, right? So what's going to determine how fast and how much and how many leads you're getting is going to be your service area and what time of the year it is, right? And what's going to happen is that these leads they'll call you or they'll text you, but you can also view the leads themselves in here in the lead center, right? You can see which ones are charged, which ones are not charged, and you can also get the customer phone numbers. Maybe sometimes that's not indicated, and you can also actually view the recordings of the customer speaking to us, right? And then you can either archive this lead or mark it as booked, right? And then you also have an opportunity to rate the lead, right? Tell Google, how good the lead is, right? So Google is going to send you more leads if you are very prompt and respond to the leads that they send you, right? If you're not prompt, you don't pick up the phone, you don't call back, or you don't message back the leads that come through messages, Google is going to be like, oh, Google is going to reward you for good actions, because if you aren't responding and you aren't responding to the leads that they send you, they're not going to send you any more customers, because Google isn't getting rewarded for sending customers to you, because it also reflects on Google. Then customers are going to be like, oh, well, all these Google local service ads, these Google guaranteed contractors, they're not responding, right? So Google is going to reward contractors and businesses that are prompt and are responding to the Google local service ads. Because I've worked with companies who run Google local service ads in really great areas, and they're like, oh, we're just not getting any leads. And I'm like, well, how fast and how prompt are you doing everything? And one thing to keep in mind is Google local service ads, there's an app on their phone. So what happened to one of my clients is they had the Google local service ads on the app on their phone, and that's where they were doing all the communication. Actually, the iPhone app is going to be discontinued by Google because of how ineffective it is. It's absolutely terrible. You can't see any of your leads there. So one of my clients was relying on the app to run Google local service ads when it was completely ineffective. So because they weren't responding to any of the leads, Google wasn't going to give them any more leads, right? So what you need to do is keep up a good reputation. As soon as you start running the ads, I don't know, assign someone from your company, assign multiple people into Google local service ads, and promptly respond to all the customers, right? And here you can respond to the customers through your phone, through the text message, or through calls, or you can also respond to the customers if it's a message lead right here, right? So you can also message them through the app, but it's honestly easier for you to respond via your phone, right? The next thing is we want to take a look at integrations, right? So the unfortunate truth about Google Service Ads is very reliant on you accessing this portal and seeing everything, right? You can rely on, you can do everything from Google Local Service Ads from your phone. You can just take the calls, take the messages, and be completely fine. But I strongly recommend someone from your company to go inside Google Local Service Ads and periodically check what you're getting charged on, right? And all the lead information. Because what I would do is I would take all these phone numbers from all these customers, put it into a drip campaign later on, and later on retarget these customers and sell them something, right? Unfortunately, Google Local Service Ads doesn't really have any integration options. We aren't able to send these leads into our CRM. I haven't found a way. I've been trying to figure out a way. But this is something where someone really has to come in and manage, right? So they can either manage it through the email in which you created, or you can invite them as a user, right? So this is technically qualifies as Google Ads. So you can add add someone else to manage the Google Local Service Ads, right? So hopefully this helps you in setting up Google Local Service Ads, and I hope you find lots of success. If you have any questions, if you want my company to run and set up Google Local Service Ads for your HVAC or home service business, please contact us. We'd love to help.